The Pacific sky is a fractured canvas of brilliant blue and dirty gray smoke. Below, the vast indifferent ocean churns, a flash of silver, a glint of the rising sun off a canopy. It is a Mitsubishi A6M0, nimble and deadly, a ghost that has haunted American naval aviators since the war began. But today is different. Streaking down from a higher altitude, a dark blue shape grows with terrifying speed. It is bigger, broader, and more menacing. It is a Grumman F6F Hellcat. The gun camera footage flickers to life, a silent, grainy record of the final seconds. Tracers, like incandescent claws, reach out and tear into the delicate Japanese fighter. Pieces of its wings shear off. A plume of black oil erupts from its engine before it blossoms into an orange fireball, tumbling end over end toward the sea. The Hellcat pilot pulls out of his dive, his powerful engine roaring as he climbs back into the sun, hunting for the next target. This scene of brutal, efficient destruction was repeated thousands of times across the Pacific theater. Yet the story of the Hellcat also includes moments of profound calm and order. Back on the deck of an Essex-class aircraft carrier, the chaos of battle gives way to the controlled ballet of naval aviation. Hellcats, their wings folded neatly upwards like arresting beetles, are marshaled into position. The early months of 1942 were a dark and uncertain time for the United States Navy. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor had crippled the Pacific Fleet, and in the skies, a formidable new enemy had emerged. The Mitsubishi A6M0 was a revelation, a fighter that combined incredible maneuverability, long range, and powerful cannon armament. The Navy's primary fighter, the Grumman F4F Wildcat, was tough and resilient, but it was consistently outclimbed and outturned by the Zero. Wildcat pilots relied on teamwork and superior tactics like the thatch weave just to survive. Winning was secondary. Living to fight another day was a victory in itself. The shock of the Zero's performance reached the design offices in Bethpage, New York. Grumman was already working on a successor, but Coral Sea and Midway made the requirements crystal clear. The Navy needed more than an incremental improvement. It needed a quantum leap. A fighter that could meet the Zero on its own terms, then beat it decisively. The urgency was palpable. Every day pilots were being lost, and control of the Pacific hung in the balance. The new fighter had to be developed quickly, produced in massive numbers, and give American pilots a clear advantage. Led by Leroy Grumman, the team practiced pragmatic engineering. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They scaled up the proven Wildcat philosophy and added power. They focused on overwhelming power, devastating firepower, and the ability to survive catastrophic damage. The goal wasn't to outturn the Zero, it was to dictate the engagement with speed, altitude, and brute force. At the core, the Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp, nearly 2,000 horsepower. It gave a superb rate of climb and a tremendous advantage in the dive. A large fuselage housed armor, ammunition, and self-sealing fuel tanks to keep pilots alive. Grumman designed the Hellcat to bring pilots home. 212 pounds of cockpit armor, bullet-resistant glass, and famously strong landing gear. 6 50 caliber M2 Brownings. Wing-mounted heavy ammo load sustained devastating bursts. A 1-second burst could shred lightly built enemy airframes. Faster in level flight, dramatically faster in a dive, nearly matching climb, and it could absorb far more damage. It could not turn with a Zero at low speeds, and pilots were trained not to try. Instead, they used superior energy retention and vertical performance. A practical, brutish warplane from an ironworks that knew how to win at sea, the purpose-built Zero killer. The first F6F Hellcats reached the fleet in early 1943. Pilots immediately knew they had a winner. Squadrons worked feverishly to maximize its advantages. Pilots who had struggled in the Wildcat found the Hellcat stable, forgiving, and incredibly powerful. Its wide-track gear made carrier landings safer. Excellent visibility, responsive yet steady controls. A pilot's airplane. Confidence from the moment the big R2800 roared to life. Ease of handling sped training in a war of attrition. Combat debut, August 31st, 1943. VF-5 from USS Yorktown, striking Marcus Island. Lieutenants J.G. Dick Loesch and A.W. Artsinger each downed a flying boat, the Hellcat's first official kills. Then came Wake, the Gilberts, the Marshalls, large-scale fights against experienced Zero pilots. Over Tarawa, Hellcats downed 30 Japanese aircraft for the loss of one F6F. The Hunters had arrived. The Great Marianas, Turkey Shoot. June 19, 1944. The Battle of the Philippine Sea. The U.S. pushed to the Marianas to base B-29s. Japan committed the bulk of its carrier air power in a desperate counterstroke. The largest carrier battle in history, one that broke Japanese naval aviation. American radar picked up incoming waves at over 150 miles. Fighter directors vectored hundreds of Hellcats to form an aerial shield. Zeros, dive bombers, torpedo bombers, met by a wall of dark blue fighters diving from above. The sky erupted, dogfights, tracers, falling aircraft. Hellcat pilots refused turns, striking in single lethal passes. Inexperienced pilots in obsolete aircraft were overwhelmed and torn apart by 50 caliber fire. One pilot radioed, "Why hell, this is like an old-time turkey shoot." The name stuck. Japan lost over 350 carrier aircraft and 2 large carriers. U.S. air losses about 30, many to accidents. Hellcats claimed the vast majority of kills. The battle broke the back of Japanese naval air power. The Hellcat became an ace-maker. None exemplified it better than Commander David McCampbell, the U.S. Navy's top-scoring ace, 34 victories in his F6F, Minzi III. As CAG-15 aboard USS Essex, he led one of the war's most successful units. A brilliant tactician, he drilled gunnery, altitude, speed, and teamwork, exploiting the Hellcat's strengths. On October 24, 1944, he and his wingman Roy Rushing intercepted a formation of 60 enemy aircraft. Outnumbered 30-1, McCampbell didn't hesitate. He positioned high and behind, then dove in. In a 90-minute dogfight, McCampbell shot down 7 fighters and 2 bombers. Rushing down 6. He landed nearly out of fuel, with 2 rounds left in 1 gun. Awarded the Medal of Honor, his sortie showed why the Hellcat dominated: speed and power to control the fight, decisive firepower, and rugged endurance. By late 1944, the Hellcat had so dominated the skies that few Japanese aircraft remained. It shifted roles, becoming a fighter bomber. A powerful engine, stable airframe, and heavy payload made it ideal for ground attack and fleet support. It could carry up to 2,000 pounds of bombs and fire 5-inch HVARs, matching a destroyer's broadside in effect. Hellcats strafed airfields, bombed supply depots, and attacked shipping from the Philippines to Formosa. Fighter Squadron 45, aboard USS Cowpens. Hellcats marked with a white F-tail code and numbers like F-45. Fought daily cap and strike missions through the Philippines, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. As 1944 turned to 45, kamikaze attacks brought a terrifying new threat. Hellcats launched on combat air patrol, scrambling fast, climbing hard, guided by shipboard radar and fighter directors. Pilots had seconds to spot, close, and kill. No room for error. A short, well-aimed burst could detonate the bomber's load or tear it apart before it reached the fleet. At Okinawa, the assaults peaked. Day after day, blue Hellcats formed a ring around the fleet, diving through flak, scoring multiple kills, and saving ships and lives. The Hellcat accounted for 5,223 air-to-air kills, about 75% of U.S. Navy victories in the Pacific. Its overall kill-to-loss ratio, 19-1. 305 Navy and Marine pilots became aces in the F6F. After VJ Day, it served as trainer and drone, flew with Britain, France, and others, an ironworks machine that kept giving. The Grumman F6F Hellcat didn't have the romantic mystique of the Spitfire or the sleek lines of the Mustang. It was a tool, a sledgehammer forged to smash the Zero's dominance, the steadfast guardian of the fleet and the primary instrument of victory in the Pacific Air War. It was, quite simply, the ace maker. If the Hellcat earned its place among history's greatest fighters, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Which WW2 fighter was the most effective? Tell us below.